I call to order the Wickliffe City Council meeting of October 28, 2019. Sandy, please call the roll.
D'Angelillo.
Present.
Bogo.
Present.
Jaworski.
Excused.
Koski. Here. Levon.
Here.
Sakis.
Here.
Saloto.
Excused. Approval of council minutes.
I make a motion.
Second.
Moved by Councilwoman Koski, seconded by Councilman Bianlillo to approve the council minutes as presented from October 14th, 2019 as presented. Discussion? Sandy, please call the roll.
D'Angelillo.
Yes.
Bogo.
Yes.
Koski.
Yes.
Levon.
Yes.
Sakis.
Yes.
Reports and communications from the Mayor, Safety Director.
Yes, good evening, Council President, and everyone present tonight, thank you. As some of you may know, PCC Airfoils is expanding at both their Wickliffe locations. And with that, the fire chief and I were talking a few weeks ago, and he had brought up a really good idea to possibly vacate Rockefeller Road north of Clayton if they were interested in expanding further. I contacted and discussed this with the plant manager for that location. They would be interested as they're coming to Planning Commission next week or the week after, and he said they're planning down to the 16th of an inch, as he put it. I think we should do everything possible to allow them to grow here in Wickliffe, and I would suggest council discusses that in committee soon so they are ready to act if needed and if that makes sense. I had a conversation with representatives from the Metro Parks last week regarding our park system as a whole, Colby Park, City Hall. As expenses and repairs increase for the maintenance of our buildings, I'm always thinking about who can we partner with, who can maybe take over some of our grounds. Oddly enough, most municipalities have already reached out to the Metro Parks to try and do the same thing and get rid of some of their parks or have the Metro Parks take them over to save on cost. It's not part of their mission at this point. They're focusing more on waterways. But nonetheless, always thinking about different ways we can use these grounds for something more than what it currently is to get more use, more traffic, and also help share on some of the costs and some of the burden for the maintenance of this beautiful building. There was a few slight issues for the road and sewer project on Green Ridge that have come up recently. Could be tens of thousands more than planned, but hopefully not, pending some other adjustments we can make. The service director and engineer can speak to in more detail. Along with some of council, attended the ribbon cutting for Gateway Diner on Friday. Very nice what they did to that place. It looks amazing. Very great renovation. Please make sure to stop in if you haven't yet. Definitely check them out and support local businesses. With that, another chamber member, Rad Air, is having a ribbon cutting for their expansion on Anderson Road on November 8th at 4:30 p.m. For our CRA application that we recently expanded, we've gotten a few applications, commercial and residential. Please just pass this along to folks you know that are thinking about a home addition in your ward so they know what's involved in some of the cost benefits, if that could be the deciding factor of them getting an addition or moving out of the city. Please also, for council, remind folks in your ward that we're not picking up small piles of leaves that can fit into a Kimball bin. And lastly, for the folks in the audience upset about Ginger Pool, I'll state again what I had stated last week during the Finance Committee meeting. We must set our emotions aside when making any difficult decision, and I try very hard to do that within this role. The decisions I make, I feel, are for the long-term vitality of this community as a whole. And I do fully understand that most decisions I make will have a negative impact on some people in the short term, and while that is very unfortunate, it's an integral part of the growth process for a large organization. I had made that decision several months ago to close Ginger Pool. It just obviously came up during the budget talk for 1 year while we make improvements to Colby Pool along with some savings that we will realize. Please remember, even with the reductions I made, we are still projected to have a deficit in the year 2020. While it won't be as bad as projected, we still must be mindful of how fragile municipalities are with increases in liability, aging sewers, roads, and other critical buildings needing capital repairs such as our police station and fire station in the near future. Outside of someone writing a check for $26,000 per year, nothing said tonight will change my mind for the 2020 budget. And while I will listen to concerns, I would like to let everyone know respectfully that I will not engage in any conversation or debate on the matter this evening. And thank you, Council President.
Any questions or comments from the Mayor, Safety Director? Councilman Sakis.
So I get it. You do make tough decisions, and you're trying to make these decisions for the long term. The problem is all of us here are thinking about the long term for our growth in our city. And if we eventually have to go to the residents for, let's say, a road levy or something, but we're going to keep cutting amenities, taking services away, or things like that, how are we going to expect them to, let's raise their taxes, but let's take things away? Now, a $26,000, you say write a check, it's a pool that was built in 2012 that cost $1.3 million, I believe, to build, and we're just going to let it sit vacant. it just makes no sense. With the police fire levy that was passed, it freed up money in the general fund. And it's right now, we're not that bad a shape that we're gonna shut down a pool that is liked by many. So that's, I just wanna state that, you know, council, you're kind of dismissing what the majority of council recommended you to keep the money in there and open the pool, and you disregarded their recommendation. So I'm not comfortable even, voting yes on the budget as it is right now, unless you guarantee you're opening the pool. So with that said, that's all I have to say.
I agree with.
Hold on, sir. Mr. Serino, you'll get your chance to speak later on. Any other comments or questions for the mayor, safety director? Councilwoman Koski.
Well, just on the same vein as what Joe was saying, is that the mayor stated, I don't know, he's stated multiple times throughout his term as mayor that he would like to attract young families, and if you're taking away something like a pool, even if you don't feel like it's used as much as you feel it should be, you know, you're really not doing any of us a favor, because who's going to want to buy a house down there? You can't send your child. I'm like, who's going to let an 8-year-old ride their bike to Colby Pool from Bryn Mawr or Grand Boulevard? I just think there's probably other options.
Any further questions or comments for the mayor, safety director? John, so PCC expansion, you want to put it in the committee, as you said?
I'd like to, yeah, I think it should be discussed. I know they're already set to come to planning commission, so I don't believe they've made revised drawings at this point. This was last week, maybe the week before I had the conversation with the plant manager at that location.
Okay, so Ray, do you know if they're coming this month or maybe November?
They're coming the 7th.
7th of November.
Yeah.
Okay,
Correct, yes.
okay. We'll put PCC expansion into committee of the whole, please, Sandy.
Well, I apologize, but if I would title it the road vacation, because I think it'd be worth entertaining no matter what, even if it doesn't make sense for PCC to
Okay.
expand that road, but just that the road's not used, the building next to it could see future expansion as well,
Okay. The road vacation of Rockefeller Road, north of Euclid Avenue.
north of Clayton.
North of Clayton, sorry.
Correct, yes.
Yeah, first.
Okay.
First Thursday.
Reports and communications from the Director of Law.
Well, thank you, Mr. Council President. I don't have any report this evening.
Any questions or comments from the Director of Law? Thank you, Mr. Zealy. Communications from the Council President, I have none. Amendments or additions to the agenda? I will add Resolution 2019-16 under the resolution portion, item number 15. And I will add rebranding sign to new business A. Any other amendments or additions to the agenda? So now we'll move into the administrators. Lieutenant Bush.
Thank you, Councilman Levon. No, other than the report that was submitted, I don't have anything further.
Any questions or comments potentially that Lieutenant Bush could answer? Anybody has? Thank you, sir. Fire Chief Powers.
Thank you, Council President. Just an update on the fire facility. As you all know, we were getting water through our main electrical feeds. We met with the local utility supplying that electricity and voiced our concerns that we were getting water through electrical line. As everyone knows, water through the electrical line is not a good thing. It did quite a bit of damage to our disconnect in the building. As a result, we've gone out for proposals to replace not only the wires leading into the building, but also the main disconnect. And Councilman Biondelillo has helped tremendously with this project as he's an expert in it. He's an electrician. And I don't know, Councilman Biondelillo, do you want to explain a little bit further? Or?
Sure, Council President. As Chief stated, the service wires coming to the building and taking on water through the braids and the actual jacket of the construction of the conductors. So what that means is when it came down to the lowest point, it ran water all over our mechanical lugs, which secure the electricity. Looking at the pictures of them, they've sustained some corrosion, and actually the enclosure itself is pretty corroded. So there lies a severe risk of death and fire if this doesn't get repaired in a timely fashion. So doing the best I could to help Chief Powers out with helping him get the right help to do it. And I'd like to say to the law director or whatever, I mean, this is what I do for a living. So if there's any way I could volunteer my time, I'd like to take care of myself to get this done in a timely manner. So if there's any way possible, Chief, we can work it out, please.
All right, we're gonna have to see what our proposals come back at, and we'll go from there. We'll sit down, take a look at those proposals.
Anything you need at all.
Right, I appreciate it. That's all I have, Council President.
Any questions or comments for the fire chief? Thank you, Chief Powers. Finance Director Goals.
Thank you, Council President. I have no report this evening.
Any questions or comments for the Finance Director? Thank you, Ms. Doles. City Engineer from Mika.
Thank you, Council President. Couple things to add to my written report. First off, as the mayor alluded to, Green Ridge Drive, it's moving along well, but we've run into a couple of snags with the sewer replacement part of the storm sewer replacement, where there's going to be some extra costs involved. We don't know what the final numbers are going to be, because the rest of the project, we've got some fluff in the project to where we're not going to be able to perform like the under drains, as there are none there anyhow. So that's going to save us $16,000, and we'll do. It's coming out in the wash. There may be a little bit of an extra, but it's not going to be as huge as we initially thought. And hopefully by the next council meeting, I'll have some closer numbers to be able to report to council on as far as where we are with the project. And the other thing I wanted to mention is that Service Director D'Ambrosio and myself are meeting with a representative from NOACA to discuss, this Thursday actually, to discuss road improvements and funding, and hopefully we can to find some money for Lakeland Boulevard. Basically, he's going to explain to us why they're going to pave Ridge Road before we even look at Lakeland Boulevard. But we need to talk to him, and he's going to give us his reasons so that I can report that back to council.
Right, and just to confirm for, I guess, all the audience participating, NOACA gave us money for Ridge Road, and you and the Service Director are going there to talk to them and present why we should put that money to Lakeland and not to Ridge.
Right. After speaking with them a couple of times, that's not going to happen. The money's designated for Ridge Road and they don't switch, but hopefully we can talk to them to say, where else can we find some money to do Lakeland Boulevard?
Okay. Thank you. Any questions or comments for the city engineer? Thank you, Mr. Formiga.
Thank you.
Service Director D'Ambrosio.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a couple of updates on the Ridge Road sewer that we're working the line. United Survey did come in, did some preliminary camera work. It's as bad as we told them it was. So they haven't scheduled anything yet, but they are going to do some light cleaning. Like I said at the last council meeting, we're going to perform some of that work to just cut on cost. The pump station at the end of Rockefeller, actually at the point of Rockefeller and Buena Vista, we've been having some problems over there. And what we have to do is the check valves are bad. So when the pump station works, it pumps the water upstream. The check valves are supposed to prevent the water from coming back into the pump station. Well, they don't hold anymore. So we have to bypass the whole pump station. It's going to affect probably Mr. Bogo's house, just driveways, really. We did contact the residents, the two houses to the north of him. And then I met with Mr. Species with the school. We're going to close the southernmost apron at his. And the driveways will have those plates. We'll be able to drive over the hose if necessary. We're supposed to set that up Tuesday, and the company's coming in to do the work Wednesday and Thursday. So hopefully by Friday this will be done. We have started picking up leaves. We haven't really scoured the entire city. It's kind of like spot pining right now. Like the mayor said, we are asking people to try to use your Kimball containers as often as you can. With the Kimball contract, they do pick up yard waste throughout the whole year except for the month of February. So it may be worth trying to use Kimball if you can. Asphalt, we're still out there doing it until the asphalt plant's closed, but that's starting to wind down. And then you may have seen at Ginger Park concession stand that we're building. It's being done by the service department. It's a concession stash storage building. And hopefully we have that up running by springtime. I don't see any reason why it wouldn't.
comments for the service director? Councilman Bogo.
Yeah, just tell the people how old those pumps are.
Well, we do swap the pumps out occasionally, but that whole pump station is over 20 years old. I don't know what the life expectancy is of something like that, but we've had to swap the pump out periodically, and the way it's working now, because of these valves, the pumps weren't designed to work that way, so.
Those are the storms, right?
Sanitary.
Sanitary.
Sanitary, yes.
Any other questions or comments for the service director? Councilman Sakis.
I'm not sure if Councilman Jaworski asked this question at our last finance meeting, but has there been any pricing to see how much cost will be to fix the problems at Colby Pool? Or is there any money set aside to fix the repairs at Colby Pool?
We didn't set any money aside. The only repairs that we did were for the leaks. I mean, I know some of the building needs some work, but we never got any prices on any of that. We did repair a lot of the leaks in the pool though this fall.
Councilman Sakis, if I could say, I believe Councilman Jaworski asked if he thought the repairs at Colby would be completed before we would open, we can open on time, so we wouldn't have two pools closed until the month of June. I think that was the question that Councilman Jaworski asked. Any further questions or comments for the service director? Thank you, Mr. D'Ambrosio. Building Commissioner Sack.
Thank you, Mr. Council President. I just have one thing to add. Roy Court, they put the final foundation in the last house there. It's the second one back, and there's 4 new builds there. They're gonna get that one up and roughed in, and get it probably done in about 2 months. And that'll fill that whole section up there. That's all I have.
Any questions or comments for the building commissioner? Thank you, Mr. Sack. Recreation Director, stop.
Thank you, Mr. Council President. I just want to add one thing to my previous report. We had our Halloween party last week. Wanted to thank those who were able to attend. We had about 350 people come through. I wanted to give WOW some recognition. They sponsored the party. They gave us a check for $300 to buy candy, so we were happy with that. So I wanted to give them some recognition. That's it.
Any questions or comments for the Recreation Director? Thank you, Mr. Stott. Economic Development Director Drake.
Thank you, Council President Levon. We continue working on different projects for development here in the city, and then I would also like to ask for, to place in committee to discuss tax incremental financing, please.
Okay, we'll add tax incremental financing to the Finance Committee.
And I was just thinking about it. I would also like to include discussion of income tax rebate structure for the local income tax structure, rebate structure.
Okay, we'll add local income tax rebate structure to the Finance Committee. To the Finance Committee. Anything else?
And that's it. If there's any questions, Andy didn't come down.
Any questions or comments for the Economic Development Director? Thank you, Mr. Rick. I'll now open the floor for audience participation. If anyone would like to address the City Council, please stand, state your name and address for the clerk's record. Each person will have a 5-minute maximum amount of time. Would anyone like to address the City Council?
Ron Mandato, 1871 Rush Road. Is there other rumors true that you try to give away or sell City Hall to the Metro Parks without consulting with the residents or council?
I just stated in my report that I had a conversation with the Metro Parks.
But did you consult with the residents or the council?
No.
Okay.
I mean, they're not interested. No, I didn't. No.
Okay. Thanks for clarifying.
Would anyone else like to address with the City Council? Yes, ma'am.
Pat Jewell, 2162 Rockefeller Road. I too read what was going on online, and I know you're not going to get into a discussion about this. However, I want you to understand that we elected this whole council as well. We didn't elect a dictatorship. We didn't elect somebody that is going to take over and make all decisions without the council. That's not how that works in a democracy. You made a decision about a pool that a lot of people use on a daily basis. That, and it isn't just a small, there's a lot of people who go there, and if they all came to Colby, it would be extremely overcrowded. And so it's a decision that makes a difference. These distinguished councilmen brought up some excellent points about people who, young people coming into the city. I grew up on that end of town, and I grew up in the Ginger Pool. My parents weren't gonna let me come up here to Colby. That wasn't happening. We cannot attract young families without it. And to say that amount of money, when there's other things that you can look at. I trust this distinguished body of council people to look at that budget, and I read that you wanted to put that money back in, and we appreciate it. I'm also concerned that we want to cut somebody's hours again, and I gotta tell you something. Patty Fowler does an incredible job for this city. She has for many, many, many years, and she deserves better than to say, I'm sorry, you're superfluous now. That's not how we do things in this city. It's not how we've done them since I moved here in '63. We need to have more concern about the people. And that's what I'm not seeing here, Mr. Mayor. I'm not trying to disrespect you, but I know right now that many of your citizens are feeling disrespected. And I think that's the concern here, is that there are many ways to solve whatever issues we have. There's so many ways to go about that. But saying to people, your concerns aren't important, isn't the way to do that. Thank you.
I'm gonna make one comment before we get back to the comments. I didn't make any comments of that nature about any of our employees. I never attacked them personally. I never attacked her work ethic. I stated in this meeting how amazing she was, and I wish we could have 10 Patty Fowlers, but that's not the case. I also never said that no one's concerns are important. I'm going to listen to them, and for the distinguished council that you mentioned, while there's over 400 lines in this budget, they decided to beat me up on 3 of them, which they only added to the deficit. They didn't make, I went through, in between 2 finance committee meetings, I spent a couple hours, our finance director made 30 to 40 cuts, and one happened to be the pool at $26,000, I think that was there before. Some were only a couple $100, so there's really not a lot of places to find those. I was the one making those decisions. They weren't, unfortunately. I presented the budget I feel is the best way to operate the city for next year. They only made a few decisions on the pool and a few other issues. I just wanted to state that, to make a couple things clear, because again, people are making decisions with their emotions, and rumors fly around, and people are twisting everything that's said in these meetings. I never attacked any of our employees.
I know you did not attack Patty,
And that's my only comment.
but she is
I have.
working,
No, trust me.
so.
Would anyone else like to address from the city council? Yes.
Carol Delacar, Ward 3. The same,
Sorry,
the
can you
same,
have your address for the clerk's
oh,
record, please?
2269 Country Club Drive, Wickliffe, Ohio. It's the same concern about Ginger Pool. I was reading in News Herald a couple weeks ago about the brandishing of signs. Why is that necessary? Why do we all have to have, does everybody have to have the same sign? Why is that important, more important than putting the money into the Ginger Pool? I mean, what?
I believe you're referring to, there's a sign that was going to be put up at the entrance to Wickliffe.
But wasn't there signs being changed elsewhere as well?
As far as I know, it's just people that hasn't been.
We were gonna get 2 of them, there was a grant that would have paid for all of it.
And there was still no money set aside for gender.
It was just completely separate.
This grant was focused specifically on rebranding sign, which is still in committee. We haven't finalized anything on that yet.
So money is set aside.
But no, I think she's trying to say if there was there's money for instead of the sign, why weren't we spending money on Ginger? Well, they're 2 separate issues. The grant was specifically for the sign that they got, was not be used for the pool.
Well, how do we go about getting a grant for the pool? I mean, what can we do to help this situation? I mean, we could have fundraisers, we could do whatever we can to keep the pool, but you have to give us some options.
Councilwoman Kowski?
Okay, I just want to say that the majority of council, I'm not sure if everyone knows, the majority of council, we decided to keep the money in the line item for Ginger Pool, but it's up to the mayor to decide whether or
money's there, I don't understand.
Welcome to city council.
Can somebody explain that if the money's there?
Yes, the council is just the three branches of the government: legislative, we have the judicial, and our prosecutor, and the executive, which is the mayor. The mayor's office and the administrators make decisions on day-to-day operations. Council, while they control the budget, they can't force me to spend money. They can take money away and say you can't have that money. But they can't make me hire more employees. They can't make me cut grass a certain way. They can't tell us what trees to take down. So yeah, it's not a dictatorship, it's a democracy. They can control what they can legislatively. They can change ordinances and introduce ordinances through committee and go through the process. I have to enforce those ordinances and interpret those the way we feel and enforce those.
So if you don't interpret them, and
Well, there's no ordinance with the pool, it's just day-to-day operations. If we decide to, stop cutting a certain section of grass, we're gonna stop cutting a certain section of grass and no one can say otherwise, because that's just day-to-day operations. If we change the hours of the pools, that's day-to-day operations.
well, why can't we come up with some options? I mean, we're willing to work for the pool.
Someone can, $26,000, that's the option.
Now, there has to be some money put aside, but the money's there for.
Well, we have money in savings, but do you hear all these things that are breaking? Sewers and roads and generators? Again, sorry, but
No, it's
I
like,
can't keep, this is gonna take all night.
This
Keep
is,
going back and
we can't
forth.
just keep back and forth the discussion, but I will tell you this, the pools actually lose about $140,000 per year. We don't, this is money that comes out of the general fund.
So where are the elderly and the handicapped people supposed to swim?
That's an excellent question.
Colby is ADA compliant, it has a zero
depth.
According
Zero
to
depth?
you try to get into that pool if you're in a wheelchair, or a walker.
Understand.
Dave?
Last year,
Hold on a second, please. All right, we'll move on. Would anybody else like to address with the city council? Yeah, Mr. Serrano.
David Serrano, 1816 Elvin Drive. When you came to my house to put the sign, you promised me you would not close the pool. You promised me. I said, you will, and you said, yes, I will. And last year, I went to Kobe after Ginger was closed. Time to get out of the pool. Two of my friends had to lift me up to get me out of the pool.
So you only went once?
She wanted to call the fire department. No, two of my good friends lifted me out of the pool into this chair here. I deal with that mess every day. It sucks. I voted for you because I like the way you looked at things, and I'm just very disappointed. Our city's getting old, and there is no ADA handicap accessible stuff. There has to be a lift chair, not a chair to go into the water.
And a lift chair is $10,000.
Right.
You're again for it, sir, please.
So I think Ginger should stay open. It's mostly senior citizens, which are getting older. They don't want to deal with the, Kobe Pool is beautiful if you're 15 years old, if you're a young kid, but it's really designed for us handicapped and our seniors.
And
Is
also, the summer camps
Yeah,
are.
you already had your chance to speak, I'm sorry.
Okay.
One more thing.
Yes, sir.
That she was saying, and our summer camps up there at Kobe, enjoying the pool, kids will be kids, like they should be. And that's another reason why it's nice having Ginger open. And and you guarantee the pool will be open next year, if it's closed this year. Guaranteed.
I was very, again, I don't know what other catastrophes are gonna happen in the meantime, but
Correct.
again, I stated very clearly, that's my plan, to close it for 1 year.
Things are gonna work at Kobe. Things are gonna break. It's just all part of owning. Your car's gonna break. You know?
When $50,000 sewer breaks, it's a
Right.
little different. But yeah, the plan is just 1 year, plans for 1 year.
Would anyone else like to address with the city council? Yes, ma'am.
Doreen Martucci, I live at 29525 Oakwood Drive, and ever since I read this stuff, I've been thinking about different ways that we can keep Ginger open. Is it possible? I don't know, maybe this is stupid, but we have the lazy river. I don't know how many gallons of water it takes to fill that lazy river, but is it possible that, don't fill the lazy river this year? Put the water into Gindra. The guards that three to five guards they have at the lazy river, keep them over at Gindra. If we keep Gindra 55 and over, and for people with disabilities type of a pool, I wouldn't mind paying a little bit more for my pool pass. We have like he said, at Colby, it's a beautiful pool. During June and July with the summer camps there, you can't, when we have to go to Colby when Gindra closes, the ladies have their floaties, they're in the water, you got kids jumping in, it's like a free-for-all. There's gotta be another way. I mean, you're taking the pool away from our neighborhood that we enjoy, but yet we're gonna fill up all of Colby, close the lazy river, stop running the water at the spray park. How much does that get used? There's just gotta be another way. And then, I'm sorry, and I'm talking about, I forget who brought it up, a concession stand at Gindra. What do we need a concession stand for? For what, the baseball games? Who's gonna use the concession stand if the pool's closed? And then on top of it, Gindra, our hours were cut so drastically, and the days that we were open, we still end up having to go to Colby at some point in time if you wanna keep utilizing to go swimming, but there's just gotta be a different way that we can do this. I don't know how, but there's gotta be some other solution, something.
Would anyone else like to address with the city council? Yes, sir.
I would. I'll come out of the shadows. Not everybody here has heard what I had to say about. Oh, Ronald Ely, 29786 Arthur Avenue, Wickliffe, Ohio, 44092. Is that right? Some of you probably know where I live better than I do. Anyway, to be honest with the mayor, my plans were to try to get together with him and take a look what these finances are. And I'd like to attend the next finance committee meeting and like to have a copy of the sheets that you hand out during that meeting. I think that, until I'm actually in the mayor's shoes, I'm not sure what I would do because I'm not seeing what he's seeing. On the other hand, I'm not going to try to make an argument for this, but because I can't stand on his side because I don't know what he's looking at, it's my fault. But as far as representing these people here, I think overall, most of them would like to keep the pool. And I'm sure that council would like it, providing we, don't have things breaking down, we can't still run our city. We have a real estate agent, Mrs. Siever here, and, sorry, I'm not gonna call on you. Wetzel, DeSantis, when I first was moving back into Wickliffe, I asked them, actually when I became councilman, I asked them, what do people come to Wickliffe for? Why do people come to Wickliffe? Who's coming to Wickliffe? Because I was thinking we need young families. And he told me, in fact, they both told me, and these were separate, when we were selling my mom's house, these were separate situations. We went from DeSantis to Wetzel. And I asked each one individually at different times. And they both gave me the same answer. They said, people that are coming to Wickliffe, most of them have left Wickliffe, lived in Wickliffe most of their life, left, and decided they wanted to come back. And I said, why do they want to come back? And he said, because, both of them said this, and I don't think it was rehearsed, but it might have been. But they both said the same thing. They said, for the parks and the services. That's what they come back to Wickliffe for, the parks and the services. Now, as I was on council, I watched the raises, I watched those come in. I've watched us feed what we need, good service people. And yet, we haven't...
Mr. Mayor, are you paying attention?
Yeah, you're totally ignoring
Hey,
them.
listen, relax.
We haven't...
On your phone.
I'm sure he's got to be listening.
Mr. Lee, you got the floor, please go ahead.
Anyway, what they did was
It's
said...
the parks and the service, I'm paying attention.
Yeah, okay. All right, because I'm gonna ask you questions after this. But it doesn't matter. Anyway, you don't have to answer. So that's what they said, there's the parks, you know, nobody's gonna look at that sign over there and say, I'm gonna move into Wickliffe, they got a beautiful sign. You know, nobody's gonna do that. So you have to ask yourself, what do they look for in Wickliffe? And they told you already, these real estate agents that have more years on this face of the earth than I have. They said exactly what it is. And if you're trying to sell houses in the north side, it's nice to be able to say you have a pool there, you have something where seniors can go, because they can go down that ramp, they don't have to climb steps. They don't have all this craziness going on like at Colby. I've heard seniors tell me that they need to go there to relax because if they bring their grandchildren down to Colby, they can't keep track of them. And it makes them nervous. So there's a lot of reasons why we developed that pool. We developed it for a purpose, to fill a void that we had at Colby. And one of the things we tried to do is make it as efficient as we could. It's a lot more efficient than Colby, as far as the power to run it and things like that. The size, everything was based on keeping within budget and keeping the size. So I'd hate to see a continuation of cannibalization of the city. That is to say we need to keep feeding, and I don't want to say dinosaurs as per se. They're not dinosaurs. You guys are not, I don't mean it that way. What I do mean is once a city has done getting food, it starts to digest itself. Just as a dinosaur would, just as we would. All of a sudden we start to lose our ability to be viral. So I would ask that we keep the pool, find another way, and specifically, I don't know if you're planning, Mayor, to have a year report like we used to do at the senior center and things like that. But make sure when we go over the finances, we take a look and say, where has our money been going? What's grown the most? A lot of companies today are not taking and giving percentage raises anymore. They're saying across the board, you get $500, you're done. You know, I don't know about you, but as a senior, I know the power of compounding. And it becomes very expensive to give raises anymore. So with all of that said, it's important to understand, I believe in council, I believe in all of our service people here that are doing for the city. I believe all this. I even believe in the mayor, as long as he can answer these questions later. I believe that he's trying. But we need to get together and find out exactly what the finances, we can't keep cannibalizing the city for the things that people come here for.
All right, thank you.
So that's all I have to say.
Is there anyone else to address with the city council? Yes, ma'am.
Hello.
You're good.
Hi, I'm Cheryl Henriksen. I live at 29481 Robert. And I have a really hard time using Colby. I have a cane. It is so nice to go to Ginger. You can put your hands on the railing. You can walk down. If you're short of breath, you can stop. And if I have to go to Colby, then I don't think we have enough handicap spaces. I've gone to Colby and would have to park out by the tennis courts, so I came home because I wasn't able to go swimming. So all I am saying, I know it's your decision, but please think about the seniors and the handicapped before you do this. Thank you.
Would anyone else like to address with the city council? Would anyone else like to address with the city council? Would anyone else like to address with the city council? If not, I'll mark audience participation closed. Committee reports. The Finance Committee met on October 21st at 7 p.m. to discuss the 2020 budget. Present, Galileo, Bogo, Jaworski, Kasi, Laban, Sakis, Saloto. Also present, Barbish, Zili, Ice, Formica, D'Ambrosia, Strouser, Dole, Sack, Stop, Powers. Mayor Barbish presented an updated version of the 2020 budget. The topic of the $10,000 increase in the safety director's salary was brought up again by the committee. The mayor presented his reasoning behind increasing the salary, stating the comparisons from other communities and the amount of time he spends at the position. Councilwoman Kosky asked why he would increase the salary of the safety director when he mentioned items that fell more under the mayor's duties, not the safety director's salary. The mayor replied that if we increased the mayor's salary, it wouldn't go into effect until the next term, while a change in the safety director's salary would be immediate. After some discussion, the committee chose not to increase the safety director's salary into 2020 budget. Councilman Sack has proposed putting money back in the budget to keep Ginger open for 2020. He explained that Ginger doesn't have the same attendance as Coley because it isn't open as many days, as many hours, and doesn't have the day camp there to inflate its numbers. Other committee members also spoke in support of putting the money back into the budget. Mayor Barber stated that we can put the money back in the budget, but his decision on the pool is final and it will not be opening next summer. He reminded council of the need for repairs to Coley Pool and that the money saved by not opening Ginger could be used for those repairs. The committee recommends that it put the money to run Ginger Pool, approximately $30,000, back in the budget in the hopes that the mayor will reconsider in the spring of 2020. Councilman Sekis also suggested putting money back in the service department's seasonal employee line item. The 2019 budget had $35,000. The proposed budget for 2020 was $20,000. Service Director D'Ambrosio explained that the part-time employees are usually hired in the spring to help with items like grass cutting and usually stay until late November helping with the items like leaf pickup. Mayor Barber stated that this money was moved to hire a cleaning part-time person to clean the police department. Service Director D'Ambrosio stated that even if we increased the proposed budget to $27,000, he could accomplish the normal activity. Mayor Barber said that whatever amount the committee put in the line item, it wouldn't matter as he is the hiring authority in the city and he'll decide how many people get hired and will make sure if we can use $20,000 on seasonal employees. The committee left the amount at $20,000 for this line item. Councilman Sakis questioned cutting the programs coordinator hours from 20 to 16. Councilwoman Sloto agreed and didn't think that this was necessary. Both of them stated that she is a hardworking employee. The mayor stated that his decision wasn't based on her work ethic, but on a job position. He doesn't believe that position has a need for more than 16 hours per week. The committee made no change on this line item. Councilman Jaworski stated that in past years we received a list of all the capital request items, and this year we didn't receive one. Finance Director Doles provided the following list. Miscellaneous, $45,000 to upgrade the finance system and server. Service Department, $47,000 for a 1-ton dump truck with plow. $87,000 set aside for a street sweeper. Police Department, $64,000 for 2 police patrol vehicles. $26,500 for vehicle equipment for 3 vehicles. $26,000 for a Detective Bureau vehicle. $26,000 for a Safety Director's vehicle. $15,000 for computer upgrades. $10,650 to replace the air conditioning in the Police Department server room. $6,300 for ERT equipment. $2,300 for patrol shields. $3,300 for detective equipment. $1,500 for portable radio batteries, and $1,000 for the live scan printer. In the fire department, a $200,000 set aside for future vehicles, $13,650 for structural firefighting gear, $5,000 for pressure washer undercarriage wash, and $5,000 for a Massimo Red 57 carbon monoxide meter. The committee recommends the council that approves the presented budget with the removal of the $10,000 requested salary increase by the mayor and the increase of the pool budget by $30,000 to keep Ginger open for 2020. The meeting was adjourned at 8:10, respectfully submitted. Ed Levon. The Economic Development Euclid Avenue Committee met on October 21st, 2019. Meeting was called to order at 8:15. Present, Jaworski, Sakis, Saloto, Bogo, Kosky, Bianlillo, Mayor Barbish, Chief Vice, Chief Powers, Service Director D'Ambrosia, Assistant Service Director Strouser, Engineer Formica, Finance Director Doles, Building Commissioner Sack, and Recreation Director Stott. The committee discussed generalities regarding economic development on Euclid Avenue. Engineer Formica provided all of council with a map of Euclid Avenue, which provided details such as addresses and the name of the property owners. Councilwoman Kosky asked for additional edits to the map to highlight vacant structures. He also offered to send council members digital copies of past economic development studies performed on Euclid Avenue. Committee members discussed their general views on the types of businesses they would like to see on Euclid Avenue. The mayor talked about current economic development incentives, provided insight as to what type of properties companies are looking for, and explained his thoughts about purchasing adjacent small parcels of property, demolishing those buildings, combining the plots together, and then reselling them for development. This item will remain in committee for further discussion. Meeting was adjourned at 8:38. Respectfully submitted, Matthew Jaworski. Legislation and Welfare Committee met on October 21st at 8:38. In attendance were Councilman Sakis, Bianlillo, Bogo, Jaworski, Councilwoman Kosky, Councilwoman Sloto, Engineer Formica, Building Commissioner Sack, Law Director Zeely, Fire Chief Powers, Police Chief Ice, Service Director D'Ambrosia, and Recreation Director Stott. The topic was ordinance 921.07, city's part in removal of tree, vegetation, encroachment on property. Mr. Sack brought this into committee to state that it should not be the city's responsibility to take care of a neighbor's tree or vegetation encroaching upon another property. He felt that council should remove ordinance 921.07. Scott Zeely also felt that this put under undue liability on the city with respect to taking care of these issues. The committee agreed that encroaching trees, vegetation should be something remedied by the owner of the property. The committee recommends to authorize Mr. Zeely to prepare legislation for next council meeting that would remove ordinance 921.07. This is reported out of committee, meeting adjourned at 8:45, respectfully submitted by Councilwoman Saloto. I'll make a motion to authorize the law director to prepare legislation for next council meeting, or prepare legislation to remove ordinance 921.07.
Second.
Moved by Council President Levon, seconded by Councilman DeLillo to authorize the law director to prepare legislation that would remove ordinance 921.07. Discussion? Sandy, please call the roll.
D'Angelo?
Yes.
Bogo?
Yes.
Kosky?
Yes.
Levon?
Yes.
Sakis?
Yes.
Any other committee reports? Commission reports? Seeing no old business, we'll move into new business A, rebranding sign. I'll put this in the committee of the whole, and I will call for a meeting for November 4th at 7 p.m. A committee of the whole meeting to discuss rebranding sign, road vacation of Rockefeller Road north of Clayton, and then a finance meeting on the same night to follow on tax incremental financing and local income tax rebate structure. Yeah, that's November 4th at 7 p.m. Seeing no other new business, move into ordinances.
Ordinance number 2019-51, an ordinance providing appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures of the city of Wickliffe, Ohio for the period beginning January 1st, 2019 and ending December 31st, 2019 and declaring an emergency.
Suspension.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Biello, second by Councilman Bogo to suspend the rules of council and place ordinance 2019-51 on third and final reading. Discussion, Law Director Zeely.
I just want to remind council tonight, since we are missing 2 council members, all the pieces of legislation are on an emergency basis, which requires a 2/3 vote of all members elected to council, meaning for any legislation to pass tonight will require unanimous vote tonight by the five present members.
On suspension.
When, not only suspension, but if they adopt.
Adopt means majority, but suspension needs 2/3.
No, but for, right, I'm speaking for when it
For
goes for
suspension
adoption.
only.
Yeah.
Okay. Councilwoman Kosky.
Just for the purpose of the audience, would you like to explain what exactly this is we'll be voting on?
Ms. Knowles.
Yes, because there were leaks, and Tim, help me out if I'm not saying this correctly, because there are leaks at Colby Pool, the pump and many things have been running to keep the water clear so that they could be determined where they were and to be able to repair them. There was, the way that the budget is, in each fund, it is the personal services and then all others. So I have the right within the categories to move appropriation lines. However, we have an excess in personal services in the pool fund that needs to come down to others so that we can pay utility bills and for other things that have been happening at Colby Pool. So it's just a transfer of $10,000 from the personal service line into the all other category. So it is a zero net effect on the budget as a whole.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Sandy, please call the roll.
D'Angelo?
Yes.
Bogo?
Yes.
Kowski?
Yes.
Levon?
Yes.
Sakis?
Yes.
Adoption.
Second.
Moved by Councilwoman Kowski, second by Councilman Sakis to adopt ordinance 2019-51 as presented. Discussion? Sandy, please call the roll.
Candelo?
Yes.
Bogo?
Yes.
Kowski?
Yes.
Levon?
Yes.
Sakis?
Yes.
Ordinance number 2019-52, an ordinance providing appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures of the city of Wickliffe, Ohio for the period beginning January 1st, 2020 and ending December 31st, 2020.
Move on to resolutions.
Resolution number 2019-16, a resolution endorsing the Wickliffe City School District Issue 3 on the November 5th, 2019 ballot and declaring an emergency. Whereas the Wickliffe City School District has been educating Wickliffe students for more than a century and is a source of great pride for the community. And whereas it is critical for the future of the city of Wickliffe that the Wickliffe City School District continue to provide a high-quality education for the students. And whereas strong schools are a necessary component of a strong, vibrant, and thriving community and help attract and retain residents and preserve property values. And whereas Wickliffe school buildings are among the oldest in Lake County, with two of the buildings nearly 100 years old and have reached the end of their useful lives, are expensive to operate and maintain, and no longer meet the needs of a 21st century education. And whereas a new PK through 12 campus facility will be a community hub that will serve and educate future generations of Wickliffe residents, foster enhanced learning environments, promote collaboration among students and teachers, and provide a safe and secure and efficient campus. And whereas the Wickliffe City School District Board of Education has put issue 3 on the November 2019 ballot, which if passed will allow the school district to issue $59.9 million in bonds to build a new state-of-the-art PK through 12 campus facility, with the Ohio Facilities Construction Commission reimbursing the school district 18% of the basic cost, saving Wickliffe property owners approximately $8.6 million. Now therefore be it resolved by the Council of the City of Wickliffe, County of Lake and State of Ohio, that the Council of the City of Wickliffe hereby endorses issue 3.
Discussion.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Ballot, second by Councilwoman Kowski to suspend the rules of council and place resolution 2019-16 on third and final reading. Discussion? Sandy, please call the roll.
Candelo?
Yes.
Bogo?
Yes.
Kowski?
Yes.
Levon?
Yes.
Sakis?
Yes.
Adoption.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Ballot, second by Councilman Bogo to adopt resolution 2019-16 as presented. Discussion? Sandy, please call the roll.
Candelo?
Yes.
Bogo?
Yes.
Kowski?
Yes.
Levon?
Yes.
Sakis?
Yes.
Other legislation? Miscellaneous? Entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Villalobos, seconded by Councilman Bogo to adjourn the meeting. Discussion? Sandy, please call the roll.
Candelo?
Yes.
Bogo?
Yes.
Kowski?
Yes.
Levon?
Yes.
Sakis?
Yes.